Hi everybody. Right, well, as you'll see, this is the equipment that's been fitted by councils across the country. This is shared as we've had a whistleblower sent us the information, and obviously we've got a box delivered by a whistleblower at one of the councils, alright? Because obviously the people are very concerned in the lighting departments about what this equipment is, and I've been asked to actually review it. Because this is a weapon system, alright? It's nothing more than a weapon. Now I know it's masquerading as a light, but it's a weapon. Alright, so let's just show you, let's just break this whole thing down and show people what this is, alright? I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to take this piece, this antenna piece to pieces. Alright, people have seen it before, they've seen the breakdown. Alright, let's just unloosen this piece here. Alright, let's just break this down and let's show people what this is. Alright, this is the Harvard piece of technology. Obviously, that's the antenna. That's a scanner, it's radar. It's a radar piece of equipment, you can see that. This has got the 450 volt capacitor on it, and you see the cabling. It's really important to see that cabling. This is the delivery system, alright? This is an extremely dangerous piece of hardware. This is a single element, and they're 31,875. A lot of people making complaints to the council now, and making complaints where they're being lied to on a regular basis about this technology. So the councils are lying about what this is. Let's just show people this is not a dipole antenna. Look, it's a high gain dielectric lens antenna. Alright, it's in a little bit better shape than the other one that we've shown the video on, but that is an illegal piece of equipment. It's not a Part 15 FCC approved piece of equipment. This can target acquire. It's radar. That's a scanner. Alright, it's a scanning antenna. They are illegal. Anybody thinks that councils have the right to scan into your home are mistaken. That's an offence in law. Alright, let's just pop that back, because people have seen that breakdown before, and they've also seen this breakdown before. What's really important is to have a look at this bit of hardware. Now this box is actually being made so you can't get into it. Alright, it's a sealed unit which just had to be taken to pieces. Obviously we've got to be careful with this because it's got to get sent back, because it's got to go back in the stores. What I'm going to show people, this is the hardware, this is the delivery system, this is coming from these units here. This is the delivery system to the weapon, alright? That's the delivery system to the weapon. This is the cabling, because I've had a couple of foolish people, absolute ignorance. That's the cabling to the LED streetlights. As you'll see, they're very thin. They're thin because they don't carry a great deal of power, and they won't burn out. However, this piece of cabling is pretty powerful stuff. And it has to be, because you've got a 450 volt capacitor in this bit, but you've also got a number of 450 volt capacitors on the board. These are not for the LEDs. This is the LED delivery system here. Alright? There's transformers on here to reduce the power going to these small cables which fit into this for the LEDs. Alright? You do not need this type of capacity. Only a fool, only a very, very ignorant fool would even pretend that this is some type of ballast. Alright? These are LEDs for the ignorant. This isn't a fluorescent lamp needing ballast to put a lot of energy in. We all know that LEDs operate on very, very small amounts of energy, so they do not need. So this is a step down to these small cables. However, this is a step up to this delivery system, because obviously if you're going to use a weapon, it needs to have a bit of poke, it needs to have a bit of power about it. Alright? So that fits to there. This then goes to this, and obviously that's the 450 volt capacitor. Alright? You've seen it in the close-up breakdowns before, and this is the weapons delivery system, all right? That's the high-gain antenna, illegal high-gain antenna. Number of people have contacted Northumbria Police about the genocide that's been committed on the people in Gateshead as we speak. Lots of people. So we'll be progressing that, because I was called by Northumbria Police about this, and obviously I'm still waiting for a senior investigating officer to contact me about this weaponry and how outrageous this is, that a council can fit an unregulated, untested, illegal piece of equipment on a bit of street lighting. You've got to remember, Schrader have their own controller. It's not Harvard. They've got a totally different controller to that. It was called Owlet. It's not this. This is a weapon system. That's the difference. It's not for controlling the lights, and that's why the lights are on all the time. But here's the other part of a weapon. I'm going to show you in here. These are bare elements. These are focused lenses. Alright? They're focused lenses. See the small cables? Don't need a lot of power. Not like the delivery system for the weapon. Alright? For the antenna. It's a weapon. These are very small cables, because these do not need a lot of power. They don't need anything near 450 volts or a 3300 watt relay. Anybody that says that is either a liar, a fool, or just indoctrinated to the point where really they're pretty useless. These are bare elements. There is no protection, there's no diffuser. These are illegal. These are a category 2 optical radiation emission system. They're lenses, so what they do, that creates a focus point. These are basically lasers. So that bank of lasers there, in the 450, 460 nanometers, these are phosphor coated, and that phosphor wears off over time. So these become more toxic. They become more toxic, and they will kill. They'll blind people. They cause retinal cell stress, retina cell death, and they will blind an awful lot of people if they don't wear protective eyewear. All right? So this is the equipment. This is a blatant weapons program. It is not a street light. These are not incandescent lights. These are part of a weapons program. Make no mistake about it. And we can prove it. Fortunately, we have the evidence now. The actual undisputed evidence of this equipment being here to do harm to the citizen, and not, as we've been told, like, that's why the lights are rubbish. That's why everybody doesn't like them. That's why they're putting them up on motorways. These are part of the smart city agenda. This is a radar scanner. So when it sees you coming, it can actually increase or reduce the pulse rate. That pulse rate modulation, called flicker modulation, can be weaponized. It can be strobed and it can be weaponized at any particular time through this equipment. Now, they're now replacing it for something that's not as blatantly a weapon. All right, they're replacing it now with some other piece of equipment at a multi-million-pound deployment equipment that's just not as obviously a weapon as this is, and that's the reason for the cover-up. So this is evidence for the courts to show that Gateshead Council and others are trying to commit genocide on the people. I'm still waiting for Northumbria Police's senior investigating officers to come and see me, so I can avail them of all the information in relation to the assault and the harm that this is going to be caused to the people. This is unbelievable. This is uninsurable technology, right? Councils have a duty of care to the people. This is untested, unproven, experimental, in breach of the Nuremberg Code. This is absolutely outrageous how this has actually ended up happening. And what we must do, people have to get involved, wake others up. This is not what you're being told it is, or what the people who are fitting it have been told. Because not only have they been misinformed, everybody else has. And the no-risk document that was sent out by Gateshead Council, that basically says this is no risk. All optical radiation is a risk. That's just as a matter of fact. This just shows how ignorant and how much of a cover-up and a conspiracy to cover up their outrageous deployment of this unproven, untested, unregulated, in breach of Nuremberg technology, a true crime against humanity.
Maybe you've seen an increasing number of purple streetlights in Greensboro. They certainly stand out, and like me, you might be wondering why they're popping up. Well, I reached out to Duke Energy, who controls city lights. A rep told me that they've just learned about a manufacturing defect within the LED light that causes some of them to change from the typical blue tint to a deep purple. Duke says it's not a safety issue, but it sure is distracting. The utility has alerted its workers to the problem so they can replace them as needed. Apparently, this problem is happening in other cities across the country. You might be wondering who's paying for it. Well, Duke says the lights are under warranty, so the manufacturer is footing the bill. Now, here's where you come in. Duke needs you to report the purple lights when you see them. Just search the terms Duke Streetlight Outage.
Also, there's a bit of difficulty. Some brain injury patients who don't understand what that says. Right, this is a bit of science. Removal of blue component light significantly decreases retinal damage after high intensity exposure. All right, light causes damage to the retina, phototoxicity, and decreases photoreceptor responses. Look, the light, the most harmful component of visible light, is the blue wavelength, 405 nanometers. Guess what that is? Without a diffuser. Blue, phosphor-coated, 450 to 500 nanometers frequency. Retinal cell and retinal cell toxic. All right, this inhibits the production of chemicals in the body to protect you from cancer and deleterious effects. All right, melatonin, the main one, because these actually kill your retinal cells and your retinal cells. All right, kill them. That's why they're dangerous. That's why the whole thing was developed as a weapon system. It's another little video for the clowns, right, who keep wanting to tell people that I'm making this up. Well, I didn't do this bit of science, all right? I didn't do this. It was done in a Canadian university, but it's not the only one. I've got hundreds scientific papers that show that this is harmful. Now, like I said before, a weapon, the definition of a weapon is to cause bodily harm. This is bodily harm. All right? This is bodily harm, causes damage to the retina. Do you see that? For the silly people, the ignorant people who either can't read or just like to worry themselves about the things that what we're saying. And the people that are saying that this is for the blind. This is for the blind. Because obviously we've removed this so you can get a better look at it. All right, a little bit better look at it. What does that say? 450 volts. That's for the ignoramuses. There's a bank of them there. All right, these are capacitors. So they can fire a massive charge in a millisecond. It's the reason for this 3,300 watt relay. Right, you need a capacity, and that's some antenna. That's some piece of weaponry. That's an arm chip. See that arm chip? Right. That thing over the top's a modulator. This thing on the right hand side is a supercapacitor. Somebody tells me that this is for switching these on and off. Some complete and utter clown. All right, so this is for switching these Chinese blue phosphor-coated LEDs on and off. All right.
All of a sudden, by accident, street lights are now becoming black lights? Oh, that's right.
Morning, some Charlotte streetlights are giving new meaning to the term purple haze. You may have noticed it yourself, maybe driving around the Queen City at night. Some streetlights are actually purple. Fox 46's Brett Baldick is live along Moorhead Street with the answer into why this is happening. It's not on purpose, is it, Brett?
It's not. Good morning, Jason. So we did find some of these purple lights this morning here on West Moorhead Street, right in front of the Arlo apartments. It's getting a little bit brighter, but you can see they do have a little bit of a blue purplish tint to them. As we mentioned, they're not supposed to be like this, so we reached out to Duke Energy, and they explained what is happening. The Queen City is lit by thousands of streetlights, which are maintained by Duke Energy. Within the past few years, some lights have been upgraded to a more energy-efficient LED version, like these that give off a slightly blue or clear color. Some are still the old model and appear orange. But then there are these lights, giving off a purple tint.
We just moved here recently from Charleston, and it was kind of the first thing I noticed because I thought it was so out of, place.
A quick Google search claims purple LEDs are good for the skin, but why should that matter when you're driving?
No clue. It's just really strange.
According to Duke Energy, these purple lights are a defect. The manufacturer of the LEDs say the defect gradually causes the lights to turn purple. Right now, the issue affects several thousand lights across central and western North Carolina. Duke Energy leaders say that accounts for about 1.4% of all LED streetlights. And now that people know they're considered rare, spotting a purple light is turning into a competition.
Oh, 100%. I'm going to look for all of them now.
Interesting, isn't it? I mean, that must be an accident. Of course, they're telling us that all this money went into these black lights. They weren't tested at all. They just shipped them out. And then even before testing them, they went all the way up the light poles, stuck them in, turned them on, let them run. Or was it the fact that people were saying things about it because they haven't eased people in to being prepared for this type of lighting, this new type of really cool, lighting that's going to change things. It's going to be easier to see, it's going to be more energy efficient. You see, all they have to do is come out and tell you that over and over. Then everybody goes, okay, that sounds fine. I don't need it to be regular. We changed our light bulbs. Now we have more energy efficient bulbs to protect the environment and everything else. And I have a lower electric bill. Oh, okay. But instead, they actually just rolled this out and didn't really do a good job of telling people why. So they're pretending like sorry, we put these all over the state. We'll remove them and put in other ones. Then we'll come out with a reason why they should be this color. And everyone will say, okay. So you're probably saying, well, what is that? What does one have to do with the other? Okay, so lucifers, you could glow. Now we're going to have black lights all over our cities and okay. And then I don't know. I remember seeing this guy. He was taking a magic potion or something like that. And then look at his arm.
Worried. This is where I got the shot, the second shot. Look at this. It's glowing. Now I go down my arm and it gets worse. I have a little dot here, but the worst part, look at the vein in my hand. It glows. That is sick. Why is this doing this? Can someone tell me?
Oh, interesting. Even in his veins. Neato. So if you take the mindset of the Scarlet Letter and you see how people are going to be labeled and marked, this is a way you can differentiate people. Isn't that crazy? But here, this is just a science experiment. I'm talking about the nanoparticles and how neat they are. And then, of course, somehow, this cool Lucifer, our dream, I don't know about you. My dream's always been to glow in the dark, other than being an optometrist. So it would be really cool if I could glow in the dark. So sure, give me some of that. I'll take some, and then I can go, oh, right, it was a plant that was glowing in the dark, right? Just imagine, though, if they could do that somehow to people, but you'd say, well, how are people going to agree with that? Well, right, how are people going to, oh, wait a minute. Now, why would people put something they don't know what it is in their body? Okay, right. And if it makes them glow, would they be suspicious? No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. Nope, sure wouldn't. Sure wouldn't. If magnets stuck to their arms, would they be suspicious? Nope, they would not. Nope. Why? Because there's no functioning brain in their heads. And that's the moral, really, of today's episode of The Science Guy, is there's no brains in most people's heads. So when you connect dots and you look at things like this, and then you think about how do they want to be able to differentiate who has it and who doesn't, who has cooties, who's a disease to society. Well, you tell me, is it suspicion? Is it conspiracy? Or does it make perfect sense? That's for you to decide. I wanted to point those dots out on today's special show of A Call for a Science Guy, and you can be the judge. But it's interesting that they want to, that these nanoparticle things, Luciferase, and really interesting name, of course. I'm sure that was a coincidence. They came up with it not based on anything with the Bible. They were just like, we're going to call it that because it's really the guy who came up with the idea. It was his uncle's cousin's last name, right? And nobody was like, yeah, you might want to name it something else, not name it after the devil. No, not at all. Because it's all right in front of your face for you to see. It's all happening right now. Yet people still think that the world is filled with crazy conspiracy theorists like me and you. When in reality, it's filled with a lot of naive fools. And we have to live amongst them. But all you can do is better yourself by learning and educating yourself and by saying no. That's the moral of today's story.
What I'm about to tell you is so terrifying that I had to get myself together just to make this video. Have you guys noticed that they're changing a lot of the street lights to be black lights? And have you noticed that the video that was circulating online of the man who got the shot and then took a black light to his glowing arm has been taken down? This is how they're going to tell who took it and who didn't.
These light bulbs are hard to miss on the Midpoint Bridge, LEDs going purple. But do they need to be replaced? Wake News reporter Brianna Ross tells us what's causing the color and why we're not the only area seeing it happen.
These are not your average streetlights. The purple glow shining along the Midpoint Bridge has caught the eye of drivers passing by. But the Midpoint Bridge is not the only place where drivers are seeing purple. Streetlights around Greenville, South Carolina, and in other cities are shining the same color.
I thought maybe it was like they weren't working properly at first.
Lee County says these lights are a part of a bad batch of LED lights distributed nationally. The company to blame will replace all 115 of them free of charge to taxpayers. But the two drivers I met told me they wouldn't mind keeping the purple theme. A different color, a different light in the darkness as drivers go in and out of the Cape. In Cape Coral, I'm Brianna Ross, Wink News Now.
Now, Lee County says it spent years replacing inefficient lights with new LED lights to save energy and taxpayer dollars.
What's that? Oh, it's moved. They're not 450 volt capacitors. A bank of capacitors, by the way. And obviously that one is what you call a super capacitor. That's for a very, very high charge when they want to use this, because this is part of an EMP weapons deployment, all right? Just for the uninitiated people, all right? For the uninitiated. Anyway, we've seen that, and this is masquerading under that as a light sensor. Pretty straightforward, not complicated. So I'm going to put this video up. Let's get it shared about so that people can understand what I'm talking about. Because obviously you've got to remember, I've got 30 years experience in this field. All right, I've got 30 years experience in this field, and obviously there's a lot of the fools need to play a catch-up, all right? Need to play a catch-up with what this actually is, masquerading as a street light in a town near you. That transmitter outside of your bedroom window with massive, massive capacity to kill. Massive capacity to kill. Not a light sensor. It's not a single light sensor on that board. Not one. Nothing. Not one. Interesting enough, they've put it under this clear coloured cap to make it look like a light sensor. That's what the manufacturer says in the output. Made to look like a light sensor to fool you and to make you go back to sleep. All right? Not as they say. But what I'm going to explain to people, that there is a 450 volt capacitor. All right? It is totally unnecessary on a piece of equipment like this. Look at all the chipsets. Look at all the hardware. Look at all the equipment. Not, as we're being told, for switching lights on and off. That is a fabrication and a lie. All right? These are not light sensors. None of them are light sensors. This is a light sensor. I want people to pay attention to this plug-and-play piece of equipment, because this is a light sensor. You can see it. There's the light sensors in there. Totally innocuous. And that has a 10 volt capacitor. See those little capacitors? 10 volts. That's all they are. Alright? The capacitors on the 5G, 450 volts. I'm going to explain to people the difference. Here's a piece of equipment I had sent the other day. Company called Talenza. See the plug and play? Because it can easily be changed. So this one, you can swap it out with this one in a heartbeat. So that's the light sensor, and that can be replaced pretty quickly with this piece of equipment. All right. Let me just show you what's in here. This is the bottom end, which we're going to take off. This is to look inside. All right. And that thing there is a nice bit of hardware. All right, you see it? Well, not nice. It's nice if you're going to try and pull a weapon system on somebody. Those capacitors, 450 volts. Let's just throw it out. This is a dipole antenna, so it radiates in all directions. Pretty sophisticated. Look at the hardware. Look at the chipsets. This is not, I'm going to let you have another look at this light sensor to show you these are not light sensors. All right. That thing there on the bottom, 3,300 watts. That will cook you alive. All right, 3,300 watts, very powerful piece of equipment. Right, that's been swapped out for this. All right, so sometimes the masqueraders, they fit these, and then they come along late at night. This is a light sensor. Come along late at night, plug and play, and they change it for this basically piece of weaponry. All right. Now that's not the most dangerous, because this isn't a target acquiring piece of weaponry. All right. This is for something else. This bit is target acquiring. All right. That sensor on the end, this scanner, it's the bit they don't like people to look at. That's got a dielectric lens at the end. All right. Very, very dangerous piece of equipment. Now, what's happened, we've actually had sent to us another piece of equipment, right, where they've actually removed the interesting bit. So this is the same company, but look, I'm going to show you. See, they've removed the nasty bit, because obviously a bit obvious that to anybody that knows about dielectric lenses and weaponry. So you can see how that's been cut away. They've actually removed this. This has been ground away, right? But this is an illegal scanner, so you can scan into your home. Look at the hardware. Once again, 450 volt capacitor, right? Where it can actually be used. Look at the chip. Look at the equipment inside and outside. Not a light sensor. This is 5G, by the way, and this is the same company, Harvard Technology. That's the company there. all right, they've went into administration. Your local authorities are telling you it's a bona fide company, Queen's Award for Industry. Basically, it's went bankrupt. And the reason it's went bankrupt is because somebody's covering up the crime that they've tried to commit on the people. Right? I had one of these sent to me the other day. This one's had a bit of hammer rash. Unfortunately, it's had a bit of hammer rash. All right, some of the bits have basically fell off it. There's the plug bit at the bottom. Obviously, it has had a serious bit of hammer rash. Consequently, but that is the plug and play system. All right, and that is also a scanning lens. You see the aluminium thing at the end? It's a dielectric lens. It can focus the signal. And once again, 450 volt capacitor, not the 10 volt capacitor in a light sensor. All right, it's a light sensor, 10 volts. To put that into perspective, your mobile phone operates on 3.5 volts. So what I'm going to say to people, this is all weaponry. All right, these are weapon systems. Absolutely, this is all weapons hardware, right, which has been rolled out on top of you. All right, these is in your street lights, care of your local authority, care of an outrageous organisation. What I want to find out is who at GCHQ is actually paying and sanctioning the trolls, because unfortunately the spy agencies need to get a grip of this, because the back doors are open, and I believe this is the route going into where we are going to be ransomed, the country, or attacked at will by a foreign power, because they can use this equipment to attack you. I know it sounds absolutely unbelievable, but that is a matter of fact. And the reason why we're now getting trolled by a number of state actors, all right, one of the things that I'm going to tell people, if you write to your local MP or any local authority and they mention ICNIRP, ICNIRP guidelines only rely on a 6 minute exposure. These are on 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day, all right, outside your home, making people sick on top of the light systems. They come in a number of different styles, number of different types. So we see anything with anything like this, anything over 4 inches in height, it's got an 868 antenna underneath. It's got this antenna underneath. This one's absolutely blatant, by the way. That's why they're changing this. They've changed this specifically because anybody knows that this is a scanner. It's a target acquiring scanner antenna. This is the scanning bit, and this is the shooty bit at the end. All right, that allows you to fire a dielectric. That's a dielectric lens, and allows you to fire a collimated signal at a person supposed to be an autonomous car. However, that's not what it's for. Look at some of the hardware. This is the hardware's attached to it. Anybody tells me this is for switching lights on and off, wake up, right? This is the intent to harm the citizen. This is equipment to harm you, right? Attached to a street light outside your home. And this is the reason why a number of people are starting to get sick in the near localities of these transmitters, where they're getting skin problems, breathing problems, because this radiation actually increases the temperature. Now, we know the temperature's going up. I'm not surprised. We've got 31,875 of these in Gateshead alone. They are covering up the fact that this is 5G. We know it's 5G. Apart from the only people that don't think it's 5G, I mean, they know it is. They're just covering up the crime. All right? This is 5G. However, it's had the really outrageous antenna removed. You can see that it's been taken away, specifically been ground away, right, so that the evidence is actually being taken away, all right? But what I'm going to say to people, right, who's sanctioning the trolls at GCHQ to shut down the 5G information? We as this country are trying to defend ourselves from this crime. We've actually had the Extinction Rebellion set up specifically to try and push this technology. They're trying to force this technology on people. The LED streetlights, which are illegal, which they also are extremely toxic, they're promoting this technology, including the smart rollout, it's all integrated. All right, so your smart meter, it's got the capacity to kill. These also have the capacity to kill. Right, now people are frightened. A lot of people are getting very frightened, and the reason why is because they're starting to realise that authorities are out of control. Well, I'm going to tell you, they are out of control because they are allowing this technology to be rolled out on top of you. I mean, like I said, this one's had a bit of hammer rash, so this is also a 5G. It's a 5G cover on this dielectric lens here. Also very dangerous. 450 volt capacitors, no necessity for that. The 3.5 volts in your mobile phone, everybody knows that. And like this one, only 10 volts. All right. So this is explosive. Share it. Get it out there, because what will happen, they'll pull my Facebook accounts down, right, once I get this information out. This is what's causing the increase in temperature in the near locality to you, because it hits your body and makes you feel hot. It's burning people's skin. We've got people who've got skin complaints, breathing complaints, headaches, sore eyes, all the things that are attributed to this mass pollution from this microwave radiation. And the ICNIRP guidelines, as I said, only apply to 6 minutes. These are on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've got local councils and local council officials telling people they're not on. They're not on, or they're not. Well, how do you scan into somebody's home in 3D map their home, because that's what this equipment does, illegally, if it's not on? You lot must think we are absolutely thick as a brick. And the only people that support them with a fake narrative are very, very either easily deceived, or they're working for the state apparatus.